Hey, and welcome again to another episode of Bite Size Chat. We're going to have a conversation today that dives a bit more deeper into issues rather than coping or surviving. We're going to be looking at social emotional learning and how we can holistically heal from that. So if that's something you're interested in, stick with us and enjoy Bite Size Chat. Thank you, Jennifer, for joining. Thank you for coming and gracing Bite Size Chat.
Absolutely. Happy to be here.
Yeah, thank you. I did introduce you as an expert in SEL. Mm-hmm. What is it that you do and who do you do it for?
My background is in education and psychology, and I've been teaching for over 20 years in the United States, in Japan, and here in Taiwan. And initially, I was a classroom teacher, an elementary homeroom teacher.
Right.
And I just wanted to create lessons and experiences for my students that I felt were more meaningful. So, of course, academic content is important and necessary, but there's a lot of other things in life that require skill sets and knowledge and awareness. And so I really started diving into building curriculum that was centered more on leadership and character education. That was what it was known as at that point in time. Okay. And then over time, social and emotional learning, or SEL, became a more commonly known concept in the education realm. And so I linked to that because it is very similar as far as like the focal points and skill sets that are being addressed. And so it grew for my students, for their well-being. That's kind of how it started. And a desire to create good in the world, I guess. So through my students, who are the next generation, and just wanting them to be fully prepared for life and all of the unexpected curveballs that it throws us. Yeah.
So a bit more of what it is. So what is SEL? It stands for?
Social and Emotional Learning.
Yeah. And what does it entail? Is it the same as mental health education?
Mental health education is an aspect of it. Yeah. SEL specifically was a term coined by an organization in the U.S. called CASEL. And they established a model with 5 core competencies. Okay. So within that model, the first 2 focus on self, so self-awareness and then self-regulation. Yeah. The next 2 focus on social interactions, so relationship skills and social skills. And then the final one is responsible decision making. Yeah. So how can I make good choices in the world, or an understanding of how do my choices impact myself later, or impact others, or impact the world or the environment. So it's how do I make responsible choices?
So for me, it sounds as though the way we should actually live.
Oh, 100%. Yes, definitely. But what a lot of people don't realize is that those are skills that need to be developed the same way that math skills or reading skills or literature skills.
So is it something you would say has been taken for granted? Because this is the basis of life from how you describe it, right? What SEL stands for. So why is it not being brought into mainstream education earlier on, or being even at home or in communities has been a focus?
I think there's a lot of reasons, but initially I think it stems from the concept of the education paradigm to begin with, and its development as an institution, right? Schools were initially designed to train students to listen, to take orders, to follow directions, to sit still, to be told what to do. And it's because during that time, it was the Industrial Revolution, right? And so the job market was more factory-based work. And so those were skills that in that time were necessary to develop so that you could get a job in a factory. However, fast forward, although many other aspects of life have grown and changed and transformed and developed, if you look at a picture of a classroom from, that era versus today, it's almost identical, right?
Nothing has changed.
It's desks in rows with a teacher at the center and 30 children, like facing front, within a four-wall confinement. And again, this is focusing on traditional education. There are a lot of alternative education systems out there. So I do want to emphasize that. And they're doing a phenomenal job of kind of breaking this paradigm and creating new educational approaches. Traditional education, public education here in Taiwan is still very much like this, where it's kids in rows and desks with one teacher. It's focused on a textbook, and you memorize the answers, or there's one answer that you fill in the blank for the test, and that's how you're graded. And that's traditionally that worked. Today, that does not work. And so I think I've always been an advocate for change in the education space, and especially now, like, we're now in the AI era, right? So we have long passed the model of teacher-centric learning. We need to develop a more student-centered, a more critical thinking-centered, a more exploratory-centered, a more creative-centered education approach, because that's those are the skills necessary now.
Exactly. And I think I wanted to ask a question, like, why are we not doing that? But maybe let me put it this way. Is it because there are misconceptions? So what are some of the misconceptions? Because if people have, or if we normally have huge misconceptions about something, then we don't really look at the solution base for the progress of that particular subject. So what are some of the main misconceptions which is holding the progress, as you mentioned, back in mainstream education, adopting on and fully embracing to move this forward?
I think, and again, it depends on where you are culturally or around the world. So
we'll touch on culture. I like that you've mentioned that word. But that's fine. We will definitely go into a bit more about culture.
So a big part of my work is also cultural sensitivity and awareness. But I say that because, especially with SEL, so just using Taiwan as an example, 10 years ago when I tried to introduce programs that were SEL-centered to local schools, there was a huge resistance because there was, the question was always, is there a test? Because parents want to see tests. They want to see grades. They want to see scores.
Oh, okay.
And my response was...
sorry to interrupt, but so it was more they wanted to see how good their children are with the theory of SEL rather than the effect on themselves.
Yeah, exactly, the internalization of it.
Okay.
And so my response was always like, yes, there is a test. It's called life. Right? So life is the test.
That's a good way to put it.
Unfortunately, that was not well received or understood at that point in time. So fast forward, SEL did start to integrate a little bit more into this culture here Around 2019,
Okay,
just before COVID.
That's very recent.
Yes, yes. So there was a new initiatives from the government. It's called Ilingba Kagang, 108 curriculum. And so these are new standards from the Ministry of Education here in Taiwan. So because these standards were released, they are now required to be taught, and so now there is more openness and receptiveness to learning these or integrating these concepts into the education space. However, that being said, initially it was kind of interpreted as education for students with autism and ADHD. And I'm not sure why that was kind of the focus, but it was kind of like this intervention education concept. So when I would talk with educators about it, I would try to correct that lens and be like, actually, no, it's for everybody. It can help, sure, with interventions in some capacities. However, it's not specifically designed for only ADHD or only children with autism. There's now actually it's being even accepted as adult education. So there's adult SEL.
Why was it being pushed on to that?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I think it was just kind of initially introduced as potentially something that would be helpful in that regard, but so that took some correcting. And now with the launch of the 108 curriculum, now it is more in the mainstream education in the early stages. It's only been a few years released. And actually, as it was being released, COVID was also hitting. So then the focus became more like online learning and how do we do that? So that became the focus. So it's really, really very recent. And on top of that, although it's being introduced, it's more focused on the theory. So the teacher trainings focus on the theory of it, the research, the theory.
Right.
When it comes to the implementation, that's where teachers get stuck because they were not raised in this kind of system or structure. They don't understand these topics very well.
Exactly, and that's a brilliant, I think, point to use that to transition onto the culture, right? Because to the rest of the world, or not say the rest of the world, but to the Western cultures, predominantly, this has been accepted a long time ago. It's been introduced into mainstream education, and not necessarily for specific groups of children who need intervention, if we put it that way. Is it just because of the culture, which is being the resistance? Or is there other things? Because essentially, as I think you were alluding to it, if the teachers have not experienced that, or they don't see it as important as maths and science, which is their culture, which is you do the things that would actually get you to a job or a career or something.
Right.
Is that the main resistant factor?
Yes. So I think there's a couple of things. Culture is definitely a big factor. So whether it's here in Taiwan or in the West, a lot of things need to be initiated from the government in order for them to be accepted first, or other institutions. Part of the resistance or challenge is also if you are not experienced in that type of education model or approach. So again, as we were saying earlier, a lot of the teachers here, they did not grow up in a system that
allows
focused on mental health, emotional regulation, social skills, critical thinking. And so to expect them to teach these skills is daunting, right? And so they do look for the research and look for the impact and why is this important. But then when it comes to implementing, it's challenging. And then another aspect is the parents and the families,
Yeah.
right? So you need the buy-in, you need the understanding from all aspects, educators, administrators, parents, community,
Yeah.
in order for this model to be really effective and as impactful as possible.
Yeah.
So when you have parents who weren't raised in this type of understanding of education, teachers who were not taught or trained in these governments that didn't prioritize it, again, because before the work model was more factory-based, you know, and we just need people to listen and follow directions. And so, yeah, it's been kind of this conglomeration of impact or resistance. And introducing anything new takes time, right?
Of course.
It's a very old model that we're trying to break.
I think it's a very good introduction that we've touched on, and the aspects in the importance of education actually adapting this quickly or being more open-minded about it. But we just talk about the actual SEL itself. It's trying to help deal with life, as you put it. But often, the most impact is seen when it's actually dealing with a particular issue. The one that comes to my mind is, I'll just put it in under one thing, is trauma.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
When you're teaching SEL curriculum, how are you being aware of trauma to actually make it a bit more tailor-made? Because if someone hasn't gone through life, dealt with not much, and they're pretty, let me put it, normal person, just not much going on in their life, they're happy, and SEL will be an additional bonus. Particularly, they're happy, they're self-aware, you know, they're emotionally intelligent, they're socially active. You know, SEL will be sort of nice to have. Whereas someone who's gone through trauma, who's gone through something, SEL is an essential part of their daily learning. How are you picking those up?
It depends on your audience, right? So when you're working with kids versus adults, you're essentially teaching the same concepts, you're just using different vocabulary. You're simplifying the concepts versus making them more in-depth. When you're working with kids, I think of it more as like building a toolbox, a toolkit of life skills, right? So maybe they haven't had hugely traumatic experiences yet, or challenges yet, but they will. Inevitably, life is going to happen. And so it's a lot easier, I feel, that if children or students have these skill sets ahead of time and they understand what they are and how to apply them. So when they face the challenges, they're prepared.
Okay, so
that's a lot easier than what we've been doing, which is working with adults who have to go backwards in time and find those pain points or those traumatic experiences and heal afterwards, right? So it's much harder to go backwards in time and do the work. It's an unlearning process. It's a recalibration process. It's a process of regulating your nervous system, increasing your threshold of capacity. So there's so many more things as adults. But that being said, it's just as critical, it's just as applicable, it's just as valuable. But the other challenge with adults is there's more of that resistance and hesitation, or this idea of I'm fine, or the ego is there, or
how do you break through that? Because from how you're talking
you have
about,
to.
right?
I can guide.
Right.
I can offer suggestions. I can. And this is through research, right? There's been a lot of research in the space of mindfulness, of mental health, of nervous system regulation, somatic work, therapy. Like there's so many fields under the umbrella of psychology and holistic wellness that have evidence of and proof of healing, of recovering, of restoration, of transformation.
Yeah.
But it takes the person. I can talk to you till I'm blue in the face, right?
Yeah.
But you have to choose for yourself that you want this,
Absolutely,
that you
yeah.
believe this, that you desire this change in your life, because you're the one who has to actually do the work,
Yeah.
make the progress, measure the growth. And so when you work with adults, it's different because the ownership is in their hands. I guide, right?
Yeah.
Whereas
Yeah.
with kids, I'm building the tool set for them
Yeah.
at a young age in the hopes that they carry that with them to the next grade level and the next
Yeah.
life chapter and the next, but I can build to the best of my ability
Absolutely,
and
yeah.
hope that they carry it, versus with adults, it's I can offer suggestions and guidance, but
Yeah.
you have to choose it and you have to do the
Your,
work.
your other work is holistic healing. When you're teaching kids and adults about SEL, what's the typical approach to supporting SEL in a holistic sense, in a holistic healing sense?
So we always start with self-awareness, right? Oftentimes, people want to jump into the world or making impact in the world or things like that, but that's nice in theory.
Yep.
And maybe you are going to do some nice things.
Yeah.
But the essence, like the critical point is actually healing yourself first.
We don't do that much.
No, we're so busy looking outwards and thinking the answers come. That's because, again, the education system tells us we have to look to the teacher for the answers. We have to look to the textbook for the answers. We have to look to the government for the answers. We are conditioned to look outward for the answers when, ironically, the answers are inward.
Yeah.
Right? And so that is really I think the streamlined essence of SEL is learning how to go inward for answers, for clarity, for regulation, for emotional understanding, awareness. I don't know. It's all inside, right? But that's flipping. We talk about a flipped classroom, that this is a flipped mindset, I think.
Mindset. What's the role of mindfulness in this?
Oh, mindfulness is everything. The more mindful we are, the more we're able to really separate from the chaos, from the busyness, from the stress, from the demands, from the emotions, from the trauma, from the pain, from the stories we've created, from the lies we've been told, from the damage our parents have done. Like, we can just separate and really release and really let go. And the more you're able to really release and let go, the lighter you feel, the more ease you have in life. Like, you're still dealing with the demands and the responsibilities, but it just releases that added weight that we often carry, which is like these pain points of identity that we carry with us.
Yeah. You make it sound so easy, and I know it's not easy to be mindful, right? And of course, you're an expert, so I think when you look at it, you're probably more aware of other things that would be traumatic or that could cause you pain elsewhere. So you'd be like, okay, not this. But for the average person, or to the listeners or people watching, how can they become mindful to then be in a position where they can tell themselves, okay, now is a stop time. Now is the boundary time. Now is the not engaging with other people time. It's just, let me be in this space, let me be in this mind frame and do this and reflect or whatever it is. How is it achieved?
Baby steps, right? And so that's exactly it. So mindfulness is a way of being, right? It starts with practices like meditation and breath work, and just simple awareness. But those are the practices. Mindfulness is being. You just are. And you just are present and aware of what's happening. But just like the other skills that we've talked about, these are steps of progress.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen overnight. And it's not just sitting and oming and meditating for hours in a cave in the mountains. There's a lot of...
That's what people see it as, really.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think when someone is listening, well, you know, I can't just be,
yeah, exactly.
You know, high
I don't have
frequency
an
sounds.
hour to...
I don't have the... But, you know, for me, how I get to my mindfulness is being in worship. Right? I'm a Christian.
Yeah.
And if I have to put a worship song on and just listen and listen, I kind of get to a space where I begin to reflect on things. I start being in a space of being grateful. And gratitude is something that really, really, really is big to me.
Hugely
You know,
important.
and I'm not snobby about it, right? But I just don't get how you cannot be grateful.
Right?
You know,
Yeah.
I think it's a mindfulness thing, right?
Oh, 100%. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Even on your darkest day, there's something to be grateful for.
Yeah.
The fact that you're breathing, the fact that you had food in your belly, the fact that you have a bed to sleep in, the fact that you have a roof over your head. I mean, those are big things for some people, right? And for us, maybe it feels small, but there's always something to be grateful for. And that goes back to perspective, right? And that is a part of mindfulness and awareness. Like, which lens am I choosing to see the world through today? And every day is a new opportunity to practice. And yes, you can feel the pain, you can feel the stress, you can feel the anger, the emotions, the heaviness. And you can also choose to see the light and the joy and the happiness. Exactly, it's a choice. And every day is a choice, right? And so when it comes to mindfulness practices and where do you start, it's those little things, right? It's, let me just, as I'm showering. So something that's important when you're starting a new practice is having an anchor, right? So every time when I'm brushing my teeth, that's the anchor. When I'm taking a shower, that's the anchor. When I'm washing dishes, that's the anchor. Whatever it is you want to connect it to. When I'm brushing my teeth, I'm going to think of 3 things that I'm grateful for from the day, or 3 things I'm looking forward to in the day, if it's in the morning, right? 3 things reflected at night. Or while you're washing your hair, I'm going to take 3 deep, mindful breaths and just notice how my body feels at the beginning and then how it feels after. And they're going to be microscopic, subtle changes in the beginning, right? And so because of that, you need to be tapped in and tuned in in order to notice it. But and you're paying attention on purpose, right? And so because it's so subtle in the beginning, it gets overlooked oftentimes. Or it's not big enough, it's not grandiose enough, it's not life-altering enough for someone to buy into it right away.
And I like the way you've put it, right? Because it's a real struggle. Because the way you've broken it down to the very basic, everyday thing that we do. But other people are not aware of this or don't think of it like that, would think, oh, I need to be in a quiet room somewhere or do this. And some people, that's how it works for them. You know, I've never thought of it as brushing my teeth and I'm being mindful. However, I probably would think of the times I would do that would be when I'm ironing or cooking.
Oh, yeah, yes. So mindfulness is focused attention. It's not oming, it's not eyeing, it's not, I don't know, whatever other people think of it, right?
Kumbaya.
It's kumbaya-ing. It can be, yes, it can be, but actually mindfulness is paying attention to the present moment on purpose without judgment. It's those aspects. Present moment, paying attention on purpose, and without judgment.
Right.
So the judgment is where we're constantly have that critical mindset where it's not enough, it's not good enough, I'm not smart enough, fast enough, healthy enough, happy enough, whatever. That not enoughness, right? That's the judgmental part. Or that person over there is this, that, or the third. Or I can't be mindful because I'm not sitting in a quiet room full of white light on a mountaintop, right? So there's a lot of things that our minds are weird creatures. Like, they lie to us constantly, which is also an aspect of mindfulness that we need to be aware of, right?
And I want to touch on that.
Our mind lies to us all the time, and will make excuses, A, because it's lazy, but it's lazy because it's keeping us safe, right? If we have to start something new, it's going to require more energy from our brain to create this new thing.
Right.
And that's going to take away from the ease of when our brain knows the routine. And we just kind of repeat that same routine over and over and over. Our brain has understood that this routine is safe.
Yeah.
Right? We don't have to worry about threats or dangers or saber-toothed tigers or other tribes attacking us, right? Because this all goes back to our Paleolithic brain, which is like the oldest part of our brain, right? Which is designed to keep us safe. And so our brain will lie to us, and our brain will make up any and every excuse to not do something. Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Oh, I can't. I don't have time. I'm busy. I'm overwhelmed. This isn't the right time for me to breathe. I'm too angry. I'm too stressed out. Are you kidding me? That's exactly when you're supposed to do it, right? But you can't start learning these skills when you're in the emotion ball of chaos. You have to learn it beforehand so that you can then apply it when you can sense the emotion ball of chaos coming, and it actually will deter the complete tsunami of overwhelm, right?
Exactly, yeah.
But you have to build those skills. You have to believe in those skills ahead of time. And you have to understand how the brain works and how our nervous system works. And with compassion, right? So again, that non-judgmental piece of the mindfulness definition, knowing that it's going to keep us from creating these new ways of being and these new neuropathways and these new routines, and because it's going to take work, which means we have to be mindful of the fact that we do want to create these changes in our life, right? So the analogy I like to use is a detour. If you drive a car and you're going home from work and you go the same way home every single day, you're on autopilot. You don't have to think.
I mean,
you get in your car, next thing you know, you're at home, right?
You don't remember anything
you're like,
in between.
how did I get here? No clue. You're in your own world. But one day you're driving home and there's a flashing sign that says detour. You can't go the way that you normally do. Then all of a sudden
you're flustered.
So initially you're flustered and you get off the highway and you go this detour, but then you get home and you realize, wow, that saved me 10 minutes of time. Actually, that was amazing.
And it's often a conversation
to
the other person. You're like, oh, when I went here, I didn't realize there's a shop there. I didn't realize there was this thing there.
Exactly. So now you have a note in your mind. You're like, okay, tomorrow I'm going to take this detour route home because it saves me 10 minutes. I see these cool shops, blah, blah, blah. Well, next day you get in your car, you're on autopilot. And you get home and you're like, oh, I forgot the detour. I meant to go that other way.
Exactly.
So then the third day, when you get in your car, you're mindful. You're like, remember, go the detour route, go the detour route, go the detour route. And so that day you remember because you're constantly like reiterating it, right? And so now you go the detour route and you're happy. The next day you remember more easily, go the detour route, you're happy. By the end of the week, that's your new route. Now that's your new autopilot, right? But it took a week of like conscious memory of like reminding yourself to create these new neural pathways to go this new route. It's the same with anything that you want to create in your life. Any new skill set, any new routine, any new pattern, but you have to disrupt the old pattern in order to create a new pattern, and that's going to require time and effort and remembrance and dedication and willpower.
I love that because when you hear some of the most successful people talk, you know, whether millionaires or business leaders or sportsmen or whatever it is, the one thing that they don't take for granted is how their mindset is wired. You know, and it makes them look different to everybody else, but they're just like us. It's just that they've just switched on to a different mindset. And that is, I'm going to achieve X, no matter how long it takes me, or no matter how hard or painful it is. And they understand by that switching mindset that it's not going to be easy. It's going to take a long time to get it. It's going to take a lot of work and stress. But that switching mindset, I guess mindfulness, would get them there.
Yeah.
However, the masses, we tend to sit back and I'm fine, and I'm a shame.
No,
but it's the excuse, right?
You're
I'm too lazy. I'm too bored. I'm dead. And it's always that, and our default.
Yeah.
Right. We were just talking about the book, but how long has it been now? I haven't done it. Right. And I can tell you, I can give you 1,001 excuses to why I haven't done that. But, and especially even this podcast, for example, it was, the idea came up maybe 10 years ago or more, but I never really did it. And then the shift in mindset for me was, well, what do I lose? It was literally that. Someone asked me that question, you know, and my good friend Donovan, you know, he said, well, why don't you just do it? You know, and I was like, yeah, why didn't I just do it?
Right.
And then it was that instant change in mindset. I was like, okay, well, look, you're going to fail. It's not going to be good. You're going to probably get like 3 likes or 10 watches, but you've done it.
Right.
Right. And for me, it was like, it's not about the outwards, which we were talking about. It's about the fulfillment I get from seeing something done.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
So I think I was getting to the point that there's a collective global stress at the moment with everything that's going on, left, right, center, on TV, social, this. Do you think leaders, global leaders, community leaders, I guess family leaders, dads, mums, have a role to play in this, making sure the next generation are very mindful? Or do you think it's going to make everybody soft?
Oh, no, it's definitely not going to make everybody soft. There already is a huge shift in that. You know, the fact that SEL is more mainstream in the education system is testament enough to show that mindfulness is a new path forward. Actually, mindful education is also, so there's SEL and there's mindful education, which are separate and together. So the fact that they're being received, and I think that the generation now is more conscientious. There's this weird divide. I think with social media, it's creating a lot of challenges in some aspects, but it's also opening up the world in other aspects, and
we're seeing things more closely.
More closely, and also just sharing these concepts of consciousness and awareness. Like, it's spreading much easier now because of social media, and so I feel that more, and it's resonating with the younger generation, I think. They're more in tune. Like, when you hear language that's used among teens, not all the time, of course, and not in every situation, but I have noticed even on like television shows that I've watched, like the dialogue in the shows is more conscious dialogue.
Okay.
Which is hopeful, I feel. Yeah.
So there is hope.
There is hope. There is hope. And there is a shift happening, and more people are becoming more self-aware and more conscious, and this is becoming more prioritized in people's lives. And there's enough research, right? Because there's a lot of logic-minded people who need the research, they need the evidence, they need the statistics, they need proof to know before they have the buy-in. Exactly. And so luckily there have been longitudinal studies and also just research in general for over 20, 30 years, probably longer in the mindfulness space, but at least 30 years with SEL, that is proving, like, yes, this is worth learning and worth applying and implementing. And so because of the research and statistical data to back it up, and just the metaphysical awareness from the opposite side, right? It's the yin and yang. You've got the psychology and the research, and you've got the consciousness combined together. And so it does help to create more buy-in.
Take us through some of the steps, you know, where you see the world right now, the need for SEL. You can't argue with it, right, as a general. But in terms of using mindfulness for holistic healing, You know, take us some of the practical steps.
So I think in the beginning, it's really helpful to have a coach or to have a therapist, to have a facilitator of some sort, right? Because that helps get you on track, right? And so at the wellness center that I work at, we have coaching and also sound healing and also Reiki, energy healing, mindfulness and meditation, having a community of like-minded people, having an environment of safety. These are all important first steps to build kind of a strong foundation. And then from there, it really is working with the coach to unravel what's hidden.
Yeah.
Right? And so we as humans are like onions. We have so many layers of things that we've just kind of pushed down, repressed. Again, that could be culturally where we don't talk about feelings, we don't talk about emotions, we don't talk about things that are bad. We just kind of sweep it under the rug and wait for it to magically be okay. Or just not feeling seen or heard or validated when we were children.
Yeah.
Parents are busy, parents are absent.
And this is some of the trauma we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's why earlier when you're, as adults going backwards and kind of healing, this is a lot more work, and the responsibility lies in you as the adults. So I can say, breathe. I can say hum. I can say meditate. I can say be mindful. I can say do sound healing or things that will raise your vibration.
Yeah.
Because everything is energy, right?
Yeah.
And so the energetic vibration that we are living our day-to-day life, those are the things we're attracting, right? And so this goes into another concept of like law of attraction, but it really is about the vibration that you are resonating at.
Yeah.
As your person in your sphere, you will resonate with other things at that same vibrational frequency.
Right.
If you want to become the leaders, become the gatekeepers, become the sharers of knowledge and wisdom, your vibration has to raise.
You have to
and
elevate.
it has to continue to raise. Exactly. So you have to elevate, and in order to elevate, you have to let go. You have to let go of the pain. You have to let go of the trauma. You have to let go of these rocks of heaviness that are keeping us constrained. The challenge is that when we've carried these rocks of pain for so long, they become our identity.
Yeah. So
who am I or what am I without this pain point?
Yeah.
As much as we say we don't want it, if we lose it, we feel a loss, or we feel a lack of knowing who am I or what am I now. But we have to go through this metamorphosis of change, right? And just like in the chrysalis, when the caterpillar is changing, they completely disintegrate into a pile of goo in order to reconstruct as a butterfly.
Yeah.
We have to get really gooey, and gooiness is hard.
Not pleasant.
Not pleasant. Yeah. But we have to, and we can. But it's mindset. So it's mindset, it's skill set, it's practicing daily. It's taking those baby steps and seeing value in even just taking 3 breaths per day as your basic baby step, right? So another challenge is when we introduce the beginning practices, they're so basic that people are like, what is this? This is pointless. I'm not seeing an immediate effect. It's not grandiose enough. So the buy-in is also missing. But it's just like when you're learning to write, right? You have to just make some scribbles, right? You have to learn how to strengthen your fine motor skills to hold the pencil correctly. Then you learn to form the letters. Then you learn to form words, then sentences, then paragraphs, then reports and essays, right? It's a building skill set, and it's the same with this as well. But everyone just, especially as adults, we have this logical mind that's like, we have to do it, and we have to do it big, and it has to be huge in order for it to be meaningful. And it's like, I promise, just breathe. Just when you are feeling overwhelmed, hum, because when you hum, it reverberates your nervous system. right? And it goes from the back of your neck all the way
Yeah.
down the core into your gut and into all of your main organs. And when you're humming, it vibrates. And that vibration is soothing, and that will help you to calm down. Also, when you hum, you can't think. So when you are
Okay.
overthinking and overanalyzing and so much in your head, hum. Feel the vibration.
I think if there's anything I've taken from the conversation so far, is actually making it very basic, down to earth. This is the everyday things we do, just focusing on doing those.
Yeah.
You know, the breathing, the pause, you know, the looking outside. Because especially if you work behind computers and stuff like that,
Oh,
you
yeah.
could sit for hours and not take your eyes off whatever you do, especially if you're very, very focused.
Yeah.
But then you realize you might be looking, I don't know, spreadsheets, for example,
Mm-hmm.
loads of numbers and things and going on. But you take your eyes off and you look, stretch out a little bit, you look at it, you see something completely different.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yes, exactly.
You know, so it is, we don't realize that's also a way of being mindful. We just think, oh, I'm just taking a break. But having this conversation and using that as an example, it really does highlight it even more so, the importance of being aware of your environment or your surroundings, or taking that view. If you were to give one quote or mantra or wisdom or guide to your work, what would that be?
Life is meant to be lived is my motto. I think I lost my mom at a very young age when I was only 3. And so I think that gave me this understanding that life is precious and we don't know how long we have. And we need to just live every day to the fullest, enjoy it, find the good in life. Don't ask for permission. Just go and do it, right? Beg for forgiveness if you need to. But, you know, we kind of wait for permission to do things, and no one's going to give us that permission. We're adults, right?
make
So
it
if you
more
want it,
complicated than it is.
go and do it. Just like, you know, your podcast or your
Yeah.
book, like you gave yourself the permission finally through that conversation with your friend, right? And so just give yourself permission, live life to the fullest, enjoy it, and find your purpose and find your passion, because once you anchor to that, it opens up a whole new perspective of life, and you just are living each day with passion and purpose and high vibes, and it's amazing.
I like that. How can listeners, viewers, how can people find you, follow your work?
So you can find me at Aligned with Genevieve on Instagram, or if you're in Taipei, you can find me at Sounds Good Wellness Center.
Okay. And one very last thing.
Yeah.
If anybody was to watch this, what would you hope that they take from this conversation?
All these things we overanalyze and overcalculate, make it easeful, right?
I've never heard that word, easeful.
I might have made it up.
I like that. I might borrow it. You know,
That's fine, that's fine,
The
but
sound of it
yeah.
is even calming. Make it easeful.
Easeful,
Right.
full of ease, right?
I like that.
So,
I like that. Well, thank you so much, Genevieve. It's been amazing. Thank you.
Yes, I really appreciate
We
it.
will talk more about other subjects. And I want to bring you back. So I've sort of gone around it. So then it's a teaser for the other works, the holistic wellness and all of that. So we can dive a bit more deeper into that. But as time permits us today, I think this is amazing introduction to your work and to what you do. And, you know,
Thank you.
also dropping some gems, you know. But the amazing thing is those gems are actually the ones we walk on, just like everything else.
Yeah,
The wonderful things are always around us.
Ah, yeah.
Until we actually pause and have a look at him. So, I didn't realize I have that shirt.
I look good today.
Yeah, you know, it's been hanging on for a while because I took a pause and I took time to look at things properly.
Yeah.
I mean, I say this, but you catch my drift. You know, so thank you so much for making it an impactful conversation. I feel it is an impactful conversation. And I'm sure that people listening to us or watching us, wherever they are, would be impacted by this. So thank you.
I hope so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So there you have it. Thank you, Genevieve, for coming and then sharing your wisdom and your knowledge. It's been really insightful, and I've enjoyed it, and I hope you guys watching have also enjoyed it. Remember, be mindful. Take that pause. Take that time to reflect, and it's only going to be better. Thank you very much for watching Bite Size Chat.